We're about to hit some rough times for tech and media companies, and the reason I start out that way is because I believe it's true. Starting today, Tuesday, we're going to start seeing earnings being reported for the first quarter of 2022, and it's going to be a very red quarter indeed. Of course, first up is Netflix, and my anticipation is that they're not going to quite hit the mark. At least not what the street expects, maybe their internal management numbers. But I think we're in for a red wedding of sorts. Let's talk about it. Here we go. Overall tech and media earnings, as far as I'm concerned, are going to be down in this first quarter. A lot of things have happened. We've changed. The world has changed. Let's just be honest about that. And before we dive right into the story, I just want to encourage you to, if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button down there and double check that that little thing is not red right now. Just please. Also hit the like button because I think you'll enjoy this video. And be prepared to comment because I like to catch those at the end of the video. But let's step into it. From our friends over at Variety, the intelligence platform, VIP Plus, of course, everything has a plus now, we have this story. We have this amazing story, and let me tell you, I think it's right on the head. Q1 Media and Tech's earnings preview. And to say the first quarter financial results across the media and technology sectors will be closely watched by both Wall Street and Main Street would be an understatement. No kidding. A lot has happened in just 3 months since the end of the holiday quarter, and I would agree with that. Inflation in the United States continued hitting fresh 40-year highs. Yet another variant emerged, and of course the bear attacking ukulele didn't help at all either. That created thousands of civilian casualties and spurred, of course, Netflix to stop operations there, for which they're being sued right now, interestingly enough. Aside from the global macroeconomic developments in the media and the tech sectors, there have seen some notable events in the first quarter as well, and I agree with that 100%. It is official for Warner Brothers Discovery, and CNN launched its obvious CNN Plus streaming service, which is a colossal failure, as predicted by yours truly. Let's take a look at these numbers in these charts. Netflix is 22.8 million. Not bad, but not anything to write home about as far as December 2021 ended up. Globally, this is. Disney at 196.4 million at ending January. That's a pretty substantial global number. Of course, Paramount Plus lags behind at 56.1 million. Discovery at 22 million, which is actually pretty impressive. Lionsgate at 19.7 million. And of course, these are all reporting paid subscribers. That's different than what we're about to dive into. Streaming services that report on a different metric. And of course, we're going to be talking about HBO Max. They report at 43.3 million of eligible via direct sign-up and wholesale provider. There you go. You also have Peacock reporting 9 million paid subs and 24.5 monthly active accounts because they also offer a free version. And of course, you have Prime Video, which basically counts 200 million plus Prime members stream shows or movies in 2021. So if you happen to have Amazon Prime, I guess you are subscribe to one of the biggest subscription services, even though you may not even use it. So there's that. And of course, streaming services that haven't reported any reach metric as of yet is Apple TV Plus, which is roughly 40 million subscribers as per the publication, The Information. Now, streaming has been the focal point for the media industry over the last few years. And of course, that's something that they have pushed, despite the fact that I don't think that's the thing you should care about as subscribers. You need to care about what you're earning from them, such as your ARPU, but I digress. Q1 growth could be the make or break moment, at least right now, at least for some, and I'm included in the some, because again, I don't think the subscriber stuff should matter at all. But hey, Just my opinion. Now, of course, as with every quarter, streaming giant Netflix is up first, so that's why we're talking about this today, because it's today. Netflix results usually help guide expectations for the rest of the streaming landscape for each quarter, and rightfully so. They are kind of the granddaddy of them all, so to speak. Now, as the company proved in Q4, that may not necessarily be the case anymore, and obviously their reporting metrics were slightly different and they did fail to meet expectations, and I anticipate that while they may hit their targets are going to fall below what the street expects. But I'll continue from this article. Aside from Netflix, subscriber growth among the streamers in the fourth quarter was relatively solid, at least that's the expectation. After seeing a slowdown in the first half of the year, Disney Plus saw its sub growth come roaring back, at least based on the most recent quarter, not the one they're going to report on a little later. What trend plays out between figures from Netflix versus the rest will play a pivotal role in how the reigning champ in streaming is perceived by the market going forward. And I think that's probably wise because, as I've said, I think that Netflix has reached maturity. I also think Disney Plus and many of these other streamers have also reached maturity, but that's an opinion on my part. We'll continue on with the article. Sub growth will certainly be monitored this earnings season. Investors and analysts will focus more on proof that the investments in subscriber acquisitions and content are paying off, and I don't think they're going to be satisfied. While profitability remains a more long-term goal for most players, any downward revisions or delayed targets to previous profitability projections will be a red flag. Again, as I predict, a red wedding. For Netflix and others, that means operating income and free cash flow will be front and center, which I have argued they should have been there already. And I think the only one that kind of is paying attention to this, at least from the word go, is obviously the newly coined entity called Warner Brothers Discovery. And I think that their combined streaming services with focus on profitability, well, it might catapult them to a huge lead over the other competitors not named Amazon Prime or Netflix. But hey, let's get back to the article. There's a slim chance that there was no significant impact on overall media and tech results from the macroeconomic factors that are at play, such as the red hot inflation numbers, which, my goodness, and that's global, so it's hitting everybody, and the obvious global conflict that's taking place halfway around the world that I won't mention here for fear of getting dinged by YouTube or any of the platforms that I stream on. While every company has been impacted differently, I believe, and to varying degrees, one of the most obvious effects was likely on spending, and specifically advertising spending, which means a reduction in profitability. So the forecast for 2022, at least the first half, looks like they're projecting about a 9% rake, and then in the second part of 2023 projecting about a 5% rake for about 14% overall. Or actually, that's not what the math works out to, but we'll set that aside for the moment. And of course, in 2024, they're looking for another 6% increase in the first half of that year. Both media and tech sectors are likely saw the negative impact to ad revenue because of the current state of the economy. Well, no kidding. However, those impacts are likely transitory. Transitory? Hey, how often have we heard that recently? It's not like we can ignore anything that they have to say here. Oh, wait, we probably should. Back to the story. With political and ad spending expected to gain momentum ahead of the midterm elections that are going to be coming in the fall. Oh, yippee. That's right, we're headed back into another political season. Anyway. Overall, global ad spend is still projecting a growth of 9% year over year to $682 billion, like we talked about before. According to public relations firm Dentsu's January 2022 ad spend report, which is probably fairly accurate. As for Q1 ad spend, the Winter Beijing Olympics, which were, they weren't great. Let's just be honest. They were colossal as far as ratings go, signaling the further decline in interest in these games because of all the hoo-ha that goes along with it. All the political garbage, everything that's being framed by the host country, etc., especially in the most recent games. Paralympics will likely provide a boost to the ad spend, but could be offset by the global crisis lockdowns in some European and South American countries during the quarter. Well, of course, we're looking back a couple of months at this point, but we'll have to see when these numbers actually do come out if this is accurate. Moving on. Any possible ad spend slowdown could spell serious trouble for the largest tech companies. Well, no kidding. It would really crush them, as you can see by the chart here. Meta, Twitter, and Snap would be in rough shape because social media giants are the ones that are going to be hit the hardest over media ad stagnation. Oh, by the way, something that might be a video in the next couple of days, the UK is looking very closely at Google and Meta right now in their version of antitrust. So stay tuned for that. Social media companies rely very heavily on advertising revenue, and thus any deceleration on the ad revenue, at least as far as the ad revenue front, could deliver a heavy blow to top line growth. Perhaps more closely watched will be Meta, of course. The tech company's stock was absolutely pummeled in January following its weak forecast for Q1, which was probably a fair forecast, to be honest with you. Expectations are very low for Meta, which they'll probably meet. Those very low expectations, we'll see. And if it can't exceed the low bar that it's set for itself, it better. A mass exodus of investors may be on the horizon. And that's actually the last thing that Meta could afford right now, especially when you look at what Zuckerberg's security costs just, to protect him for 1 year. That's another story we might catch the later part of the week. But again, I digress. Then there's Q2 outlook and guidance. Investors will be paying close attention to the tone from the major media and tech execs for the future. Now, of course they will. Forecasting's hard. While Q1 results will be very important and informative, they are backwards looking in nature. Well, of course, they're looking back 3 months. Duh. The outlook for the rest of the year will play a pivotal role in determining the stock moves of the media and, of course, of the tech companies. It's been a rough start for stocks this year, no kidding, especially today. That I'm recording this on Monday. You're going to see this on Tuesday. Let me tell you, roller coaster. As high interest rate environment, inflation, and geopolitical conflict weighed in on the overall market sentiment. And media and tech are not in any way an exception, and I agree with that. Not all media stocks have been in trouble, which is also true, but behemoths such as Disney and Netflix have been underperforming the broader market so far in 2022. And I think Disney is set to disappoint. Sorry, I think that's likely to happen. This earnings season will either be a comeback story or the beginning of more pain ahead. And I have to tell you, there's more pain ahead. Disney's going to have real difficulty right now as they've started to alienate the larger portion of their audience. And of course, they have separation in a lot of different places because of how diversified they are. It's astounding how many places they've been able to irritate, at least as far as the customer base goes, the people that consume their services and their products. Theme park people are bailing out. You're looking at an 18-month window where people stop going to the theme parks in California and Florida based on the outward political statements that Bob Chapek and the company have been forced into by a very, very tiny minority of human beings. Not good. And of course, other companies are trying to dodge that for as long as they can. Of course, Universal, another diversified company under Comcast, they're doing their very best not to wade in on this, at least not in Florida or anywhere else where these kinds of bills are, being proposed and passed into law. You're also going to see other studios just duck and dive far away from these things, pointing out their stunning and brave diversity that they have on the regular. But that's, of course, for a different video. As far as this goes, I do believe we are in for a red quarter when it comes to media and tech stocks. I think Twitter will, because of the poison pill plan, they're going to have a lot of red ink. They're going to be a sell in a lot of people's books here in the very near future. I think you're going to see more failure for Meta and another colossal drop in their stock. Disney is going to report some falsified numbers as far as their subscriber growth, although to be fair, I'm not sure they'll be able to keep up with an uptick that's anticipated or expected, but I could be completely wrong. We'll have to find out here shortly. And I think that if you watched Warner Brothers Discovery, that looks like a big win on the front end, and I think that'll do rather well, despite having some earnings that are going to be a little iffy with the underperformance of, well, the last couple of film releases that they have, including obviously the apparent stinker that they have in Fantastic Beasts 3. Anyway, I'm just curious, what do you think? Do you project we're going to see a red quarter for a lot of these media and tech companies based on a lot of these factors we talked about? I do. Do you anticipate that, Disney might have the most precipitous fall, or will it be Netflix, or who do you think will take the biggest percentage hit? It's fun to speculate, right? And finally, are you subscribed to me? I hope so. And if you could consider it, check out some of the merchandise that we have here on the channel. I would absolutely appreciate it. Support other independent creators out there in any way that you possibly can, because they certainly deserve it. And with that being said, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands, of course, because it's good hygiene. And until next time, bye.
Hey there. One last quick note before I let you go, and before we make it to the end of this video. I, CultureCasino, have a brand new Teespring store. That's right, you can now go to Teespring, look up CultureCasino, or use the link in the video below, and pick out some handsome and beautiful CultureCasino merchandise with many different designs and styles and colors, many different items. I was actually surprised at all of the things that you could create. And I have some more designs and items on the way here shortly. But, if you want to support the channel in that way, there is some merch. Otherwise, here comes the ending. Thanks for visiting today. Be sure you're subscribed and hit that for alerts.
Yay!
Of course, like and share all of the videos that you can, as it helps with the algorithm. Have a great day.